Darren, grab a microphone. Paula's going to come as well.
Would you like us to recreate the video through mime?
Maybe well, actually, we'll recreate the video by all standing really close together on our stand. Our stand was packed. We had, more than a dozen organisations, SMEs and so forth on the UK pavilion. It was if you could see it, it was a brilliant event. We I think, had one of the very best stands at Dubai, and the other events we did, we hosted the evening on the Thursday night where we brought everybody together with the what they called this week, the trade body in
Chamber of Trade.
Thank you very much, the Chamber of Trade. It was an important thing to be at, and it made UK ITS look very important.
I think it did, and I think we always try and do that. So we have a model where the TTF contracts LCRIG to organise our attendance at World and European Congresses, and it works really well. That means me putting some of the TTF budget into doing that, which is great because it promotes the United Kingdom. But I couldn't afford to do the whole thing, and we have this model where we provide a number of booths on our stand for SMEs, for small companies to come out with us, and we charge them a very, very reasonable rate, a far smaller rate than it would cost each of them individually to go to an event like this. And that allows us to kind of sort of turbocharge it. It allows us to get lots of UK innovation out there, but it also allows us to have a budget to be able to put on a much better pavilion and provide a lot around that. And I think that's not a unique model, and other countries do that. I think the thing that we maybe do that's slightly different, better, I think, than most countries do, is we also put a lot of effort into building activities. So we engage with the local, the government in whatever territory we're in. We try and engage with the ambassador, get the ambassador along. We work with the chambers of trade. We organise events so that the UK pavilion feels not just like a disparate group of people who happen to have all come over from the UK. It feels like a really cohesive group that are thinking about transport technology, that are thinking about innovation, that are really trying to show the UK to its best advantage. And I think one of the things we do, and one of the things that the video you can see would have shown you.
We'll show after lunch.
We'll show after lunch. We'll show that our stand is always full. There are always lots of people, there are lots going on. Fantastic opportunity to just showcase the best of the UK in transport technology to the rest of the world.
And Paula, Agnew was talking about Seville next year in May, already planning for that one and having a big UK presence there. And we'll come to why it's so important in a moment.
And I think the one thing, just to add to what Darren has said, we've got Zenzik just sat down the front here who accompanied us, and you may all be wondering, why are you guys talking about Dubai? What relevance does this have to us? And actually what we do from a transport technology perspective is we're not just there sort of showcasing the best that we can in terms of ITS that we have in the UK, but also it's those businesses that then have the opportunity to export that sort of across the world. But also in addition, Darren and I have roles where we attend a number of the sessions, and it's those sessions that allow us to also take a look at what's happening globally in sort of ITS terms. And I can't tell you how many times, I don't know about you, that I sat in sessions that I thought, why are we in the UK not shouting more about some of the amazing sort of ITS solutions and the ITS solutions to problems that are being solved by local authorities, by working in partnerships with business and things like that. And again, in terms of, so I covered the mobility area, and Andy talked earlier about connectivity. And I know there are so many different things that local authorities are doing that, again, you might not think that these ITS congresses are relevant, but they are totally relevant in terms of the knowledge that, as Agna talked about, that we can transfer between countries, between good practice, so that we don't sort of reinvent things. But please, we've got so much good stuff in the UK. If you're working with a supplier, really get them to submit some papers, get these papers in for Seville or for Atlanta or some of the others coming up, because it is so important, particularly if in 2027 we want the world to showcase what we're doing in Birmingham. It is utterly important for us.
Yeah, so just so you know, next year, European Congress Seville in May, then back end of August, the World Congress organised by ITS America, excuse me, which is in Atlanta. Then the following year, we're in Istanbul for the European Congress, and then the World Congress is organised by ITS Asia Pacific in South Korea. And then in 2027, we were really pleased that earlier in the year it was signed at ITS UK's parliamentary reception, the contract with Ertico for the West Midlands, for Birmingham at the NEC to host the ITS World Congress 2027. And guys, I put on LinkedIn that day when the video, we published the video, and I summed it up by just going, this is a really big thing. And I don't think people necessarily realise quite what a big thing it is that the UK is going to be hosting in 3 years' time.
It is. It's a huge thing. It's a once in a almost generation thing, really, that we get the opportunity to do this. We last had a European Congress in Glasgow in about
2016, I think it was.
But the last World Congress in London was 2008. So
06.
So it proves the point even more. This happens once every 20 years that we get this to the UK. We're already speaking to the NEC, and the NEC are saying that it will be probably one of the biggest single trade shows they've ever hosted. It's a massive deal, it really is, and every Congress you go to, you see that. It's not just a fantastic trade show, it's not just an opportunity for UK business to show itself to the world and to see what the rest of the world is doing, but as Agnes said, and as Paula said, the World Congress is 50% about the sessions and about putting papers in and having the opportunity to talk about the great things we're doing to a world audience. So it really gives us the opportunity to showcase just how much good stuff the UK is doing. And I think I would completely agree with Paula that you do sit there and you think, actually, we are doing some really great stuff. And actually, the things that we say, people want to hear. We are a country that has a reputation, even if we don't always see it ourselves. We do have a reputation for being at the forefront of innovation and for the forefront of policy-driven innovation and thinking about why technology is good. And going back to the points we were making this morning about actually the government isn't really interested in transport, in technology for its own sake. It's interested in technology as a way of solving wider problems. And you realise just how good we are at thinking our way through that process and how much the rest of the world is interested in the things that we're doing.
I think we can tend to be quite self-deprecating as a sort of nation. It's part of our nature. But certainly, again, not to reference, Chris Lane will talk later and much more about 2027. But if you look at some of the innovations that we're seeing through TSOG, through GLF, through whatever government may bring out in the future, they are things that I could certainly see in some of the sessions in Dubai that some countries still haven't quite grappled with, and yet we are doing just a sort of standard. And I think that is definitely something to, try and see if we can celebrate that much more.
And so, practically, what does it mean for suppliers or local authorities sitting in this room?
So if I go first, because you've always got the mic. So I think...
they love each other, really.
Absolutely not. Do
you have a point to make here, Roy?
No, absolutely not. Not again. So I think from a local authority perspective, it really is think about submitting a paper for, which I'm going to put up the date there, 10th of January. Think about submitting a paper, particularly for those authorities that are looking very integrated, transport around clean mobility and things like that, which is of concern to all of us. From a supplier perspective, also that paper submission is also the same. But actually come with us, support through TTF. We will continue to try and bring the lessons that we've learnt from different countries back, but also about different things that you can take abroad. So that's the more practical ways.
Yeah, we will be talking quite a bit today. We're talking now, Agnes has been talking, we've got a session from Chris Lane later. We will be talking about congresses and our work with Ertico quite a bit today. And you could say, well, why is that relevant to what is fundamentally a local authority forum for the UK? And it's very relevant because the rest of Europe, the rest of the world are grappling with the same problems we are, and for having the opportunity to hear what other people are doing, having the opportunity by going to congresses, by engaging in the City Moonshot programme, by understanding, the work that Airtico are doing internationally, it gives us new solutions to problems we're trying to face. And as local authorities, I think that's useful. I think as suppliers, it gives you that real understanding that the stuff you're supplying in the UK market probably works elsewhere as well. And we have a number of instances from Dubai where some quite small companies that we took out as part of our entourage of SMEs had formed relationships with the Emirates, formed relationship with the governments in the UAE, and look like they might be able to do business out there, because again the problems they're facing are not that much different to the problems we're facing. And I think having a TTF in the way it is great, and it allows us to focus in on the issues. But one of the problems you could have with the TTF is it kind of operates as a bubble, and we all think we're the only people wrestling with this, and this is our only problem. And the work that we're doing with Airtico, the work we're doing with the World Congresses, allows us to burst that bubble and see, actually, no, we are actually doing things that lots of other people are interested in and engaged with, and it just makes us a more healthy sector in general if we do that, and if we look over our own borders occasionally at what's happening elsewhere.
Just to wrap up, Andy Graham mentioned it earlier, he is chairing the technical working group for Birmingham 2027. So we actually have a man in this room who is helping us work out what's going to be talked about, what's going to be demonstrated, what's going to be exhibited at the event. I'm on the committee for the user experience, so I do the interesting bits like, can you get a drink? Is it going to pour with rain? Are you going to be able to find your way around New Street Station? Those are the sorts of things that we're talking about here. And so I think the key thing with what Andy's up to is that we have an opportunity that we can now look at projects that are being done over the next 3 years that you've got, look at the situation, what we implemented, the difference it made, and here's what we've learnt from it, because we've got an opportunity to actually work our way through. So when people come to Birmingham in 2027, they're not just seeing the latest shiny thing that we're thinking of doing. They can see some practical implementations that have happened and how they've worked, what hasn't worked, what they can take away. And we can really show the United Kingdom to be the trailblazer when it comes to using technology for transport. And that's how Darren can then go and show the Secretary of State and the ministers that is why they should be investing in transport technology. So the opportunity that we have for our industry out of having an event like this is something that gives us all a long-term future. I think
so. I think just to go back to that point about self-deprecation, and you look around, you think, well, actually, if we have an event here compared to Dubai, well, it probably won't be as warm in Birmingham as it was in Dubai. I'd be terrified if it was. It probably the venue, NEC, bless it, won't be quite as glossy and marble faced as it was. We won't be quite as exotic as Korea or whatever else, and the architecture won't match Seville. But actually, what we do is innovation in a way that we don't really fully understand, I think. And if you've got a map and a set of compasses and drew a 80-mile circle around the NEC, you'd probably, in that 80-mile radius, you'd probably encompass more innovation and technology, more startups, more companies doing basic research than pretty much anywhere else in the world outside of California. And we kind of forget that. We kind of forget that our unique selling point in this country is the amount of innovation and research that happens in one place. And that really is the key for me. That's the thing that excites me about Birmingham in 27, is that's the opportunity for the world to come and see just how much of this stuff we are doing in the UK. And to be honest, just how good at it we are.
Yep. We'll talk more this afternoon. We'll have Chris Lane this afternoon as well. So I hope that's enthused you about the Congress and about your opportunities also for Seville. And if you are a supplier, as Paula and Darren said, fantastic opportunity to get a cut price exhibition space in a major event. That's towards the end of May, I think 19th, 20th, 21st of May next year in Seville, as I say. Atlanta, end of August, and then Birmingham, 25th to 29th of October. That's what I was looking up on my phone to make sure I got the dates right. So yes, if it's hitting 40 degrees in Birmingham in 2027 at the end of October, then we really have got climate change issues.